evening, everybody, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you to, I think this is our second primary webinar of the year. I'm sure you've all had a really busy day in the classroom, so I hope you'll enjoy the presentation that we have for you this evening. And I'll give you a quick run through of what to expect this evening. My name's Lizzie Gibbon, and I am the Field Sales Manager here in Poland. And our panel this evening consists of Karen Wogan, who is our Head of Primary Publishing. And also I'm delighted to have with us Anne Purcell, who is one of our authors of Into Music, specifically second class. Anne is principal of St Mary's National School in Donnybrook in Dublin, and she is the musical director of the National Children's Choir, and she was also one of the authors of The Right Note as well. So what we'll do this evening, we'll have Anne will be delivering a fantastic webinar this evening on everything you need to teach music with ease. After that, I'll give you a quick update from Poland. And then we'll have a Q&A, a question and answer session for the panel. And if you have any questions at all that you think of as the webinar is going on, all you have to do is pop it into the chat box that you'll see on your screen. So that's kind of how to ask questions, and we'll hope to get through as many questions as possible as we go through. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Anne. Welcome, Anne, and thanks so much for joining us. And I'll hand over to you.
Great. So good evening, everybody. I'm just going to set myself up here to make sure that everything is working. I'm going to take over the screen, I hope, and just bear with me a moment. So good evening, everybody, and thank you, Lizzie, for the introduction. I hope you can all see the opening slide there with our lovely Into Music.
We're looking at a different screen at the moment, Anne, so if you could maybe unshare and then share the actual slides themselves if you can.
Okay, go again, apologies, okay.
Not at all, easily done. If you just hit stop sharing at the top and then try again, maybe.
Okay, I'm just going to just find it there, sorry. I have to get out again, sorry. I'm just trying to get back to that open again, sorry guys, I'm just on problem here.
Meanwhile, more and more people joining.
Keep joining, okay, so bear with me, so we go again. Are we coming up there now?
Yeah, we are. So if you just hit slideshow and
great.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're okay. Apologies for that, everybody. Just getting used to the technology here. As Lizzie said, my name is Anne Purcell, and I'm one of the authors of Into Music. As I said last time, I think the title, we didn't know, it's not endorsed by the INTO, it is just Into Music. And I suppose I'm delighted to be associated with this for all my years involved in music education. You know, we're not talking to the experts. I think the beauty of Into Music and its predecessor, still available, The Right Note, is that we're trying to make it accessible for all teachers out there. So just again, looking at what was important, I suppose, is that we had practitioners involved in the in writing the books, and I was delighted to be asked by Folens to get involved. Patricia Flynn, the Associate Professor of Music in DCU, and I worked part-time with Patricia out there as well. I lectured part-time. I'm not sure if any of you were there for any of my music education lectures when I worked there. Niamh Williams, a teacher out in the north side of Dublin in Castleknock and super choir director. I'm sure any of you who have been involved in performances with choirs will have seen Niamh's choirs. John Buckley, music lecturer in DCU and also composer. And I attended some of his lectures, really super guy to work with, and Sean McLean, again, also a former professor in DCU. So I think from that, these are practitioners who were used to going out to classrooms if they weren't and had taught for a while themselves. I think just an overview of the music is that the components, and the first most important thing are these really attractive pupil books. And I think a really innovative idea on the part of Folens is when they went with the joint books. So they did the same when they did the Right Note. So we have Into Music. This pupil book is for junior and senior infant book. Then there's one for first and second classes, one for third and fourth classes, and one for fifth and sixth class. And I know how it works in our school. What we do is we don't, the books are collected at the end of the year, so you don't lose any of them, and then they're passed directly on to the next teacher. The beauty in that is as well, for if a teacher's taken over from a previous class, you can see what was covered the previous year, just from looking at the pupils' books. I think the graphics in the books is so attractive. I know that they really went down well in the school. I'm in a big 24 mainstream class school, and certainly the graphics are very attractive as well. I think the colours. So all that is what makes you like to take out a nice, attractive looking book. So as well, then we've got these lovely books, but important thing then we have, these are our lessons, and I mean, so easy to follow the online lesson plans. You can see them there, and they are step by step. They are targeting people who are not musically literate, but that doesn't exclude people who are extremely musically literate. I think they are step by step. And if anything, I would say from the change I see between the Right Note and Into Music is that it's a little bit more streamlined. You know, both are still kind of menu orientated in that you don't have to do every single thing that's there. But we have streamlined them a bit, and I think that was a really good idea when we reviewed. That's probably the change I would see between the Right Note and Into Music. And obviously that came from taking on board teachers' ideas on the whole thing. Then we have these amazing, I suppose this is how the world is changing for us. We have these amazing digital activities. So it's just fantastic, whether it's the, you know, the songs, the nursery rhymes, the instructional content like the videos, the games and the flashcards, all again making this a really attractive program. I think the audios on it especially are really attractive as well. So how does Into Music meet the teacher's needs? And that's again where I keep saying when I talk to people about Into Music is we're targeting the people who may not be as confident standing in front of a class or approaching new things. And I think Folens really took on board, and we as the authors took this really on board. So we're looking at the need, and what we felt following the research that Folens did was that we needed a complete and robust music program that covers all aspects of the curriculum. And sometimes you'll find different programs that they have, oh gosh, I love those books, the songs that are in that there, but you mightn't like the way that they've done the literacy, the music literacy, like the teaching of pitch or the teaching of rhythms, or you mightn't like the graphics, or they just mightn't do great on the listening and responding to music. So I think this was really important that we got this really cohesive program in the book, and that's, I think, really happy to stand over that. It's extremely easy to use, very simple to follow the instructions, the lesson plans, the digital activities are very easy to use. There's a really high quality, modern and varied songs, and I suppose many of us, those of us who aren't as confident in teaching the music literacy, we are less uncomfortable teaching song singing, I think. And I suppose what we really wanted was that we would have, you know, in keeping with the, you know, the curriculum, to expose the children to varied songs, and so that we would include some international songs, and obviously our songs in Gaeilge, our own in Gaeilge, which are extremely important to us. And what's nice, I think, about our songs in Gaeilge, especially maybe in the younger classes books, is that they're more contemporary. And that's difficult to find contemporary songs in Irish, and that's not dissing all our fabulous old Irish folk songs in Gaeilge. But I think to get some contemporary songs, and that was really important to us as authors, and I think we really achieved that. Then the support for teaching of music literacy and the musical concepts, which like the music building blocks and composing. And, you know, I can feel people tense nearly when they start seeing things like that, you know, literacy and composing. But I'll talk a little bit further about that when we go on. And then thematic approach. And dare I give away my age when I start and I talk about, I remember in training college being told about Kohahu, which was this kind of integration of all the different subjects. And I think that teaching has even that has become more important to us as teachers, that we have this thematic approach, that we can take one topic and then that we can link into our other subjects across the curriculum for this thematic approach. And that certainly is very popular. And I found it when I was teaching in the class, a really nice way to approach a theme, that you would take it in your music lesson and then parts of it would transfer to something, whether it could be about food and you're doing something maybe in your SPHE, or you're doing it in geography, you can tie it in with your SCSE where the song comes from. So that was very important. And I think we as teachers, I think that's something that we really appreciate. All the curriculum strands are covered comprehensively. And I think that's really important, that we don't just focus on song singing. And I think that happens lots of times because people who weren't feeling confident about teaching the other strands, and we didn't have the resources available to us in the classes to do that. And this is where I think Folan's The Intermusic really delivers, that the resources are so strong, they're attractive for the teachers as well as for the children, and they're easy to actually deliver in the classroom. There are over 250 songs from junior infants to 6th class, and that gives you such choice. And when I said earlier about it being menu, you're not going to do all the songs, but because there are so many, there are some of the songs that you will know or that you particularly like, but I think that the choice is there and that you will know from a class what will work well with them. But at the same time, having the ability to expose them to songs of different genre, and also in different languages, and of course our own songs in Gaeilge. And I suppose the audio tracks, I just kind of referenced that earlier, again they're thematically chosen as well to do with whatever the theme of the months that we're doing, and not always just picking the usual and the common listening tracks. And that's interesting as well, that we've kind of widened it as well. And I think that's exposing kids to, contemporary as well as the more loosely considered classical music, and all these digital activities. And I think our kids in the classrooms, we all know that, just love these digital activities, and we just need to embrace it. And once you start on them, I think, probably looking back, one of the few positives from COVID, it was the way that teachers who hadn't previously embraced technology, and I look at people on my staff who would heretofore have said, what, I'm not doing this, and because they got used to kind of finding their way about around in the remote learning, are so welcoming, I think, of bringing these, using these digital activities in class and seeing the strength of them, and how kids respond to that as well. And that is not taking away from obviously the practical and kinesthetic things which we'll talk about later, but we can't deny that kids love and really respond to digital activities. Going back then to the easy to use, and I think the step-by-step lesson plans, how easy they are to follow, and the approach and the layout. And I suppose I hated planning and writing of lesson plans. I mean, I remember it being the bane of my life. I remember it when you were on the fortnightly ones when I started first, I'm kind of thinking ahead and whatever. And it just makes sense that these could be done globally and that you can then tweak them a little bit, obviously. But the plans are so simple. They step by step how to follow, and you do not, I'm going to keep saying that to you, you do not have to be musically literate to engage with this program, and I say that with confidence. I think it is so well laid out and step by step that I know anybody, no matter what your musical experience has been up to now, will certainly be able to teach and deliver this program. We've got the monthly overview, which of course you can see what you've covered at a glance, which is always great. You can see that there. Very easy to see it. I'm just going to move this out of my way so I can talk you through that. Doesn't move. So very easy. The strands are there. It's easy to tick them off, and you're looking at what you have to do, what you did last, and keep on top of the planning. So all resources are available online. They're easy to navigate by unit or lesson. You can see that there. So you've got your book there, and then the pupil book, and then you have the different resources that are available there. As I say, people like to judge a program generally on the songs and that, and I'm so proud, I suppose, of looking, and I'm only involved with the second class one, and I was obviously working with Patricia Flynn on the first class one, but when I look at the range of songs across the programme, the whole scheme, I just think it's fantastic. They're so attractive and different. If the different ones there, some of you may know or some may not know, like with Mr. Golden Sun, which I think I remember years ago, I drove around, we used to travel to France every summer, and I can't remember who gave me the CD, or it was a tape, I think, at the time, and we played it with my two kids in the back, and, you know, a lot of these songs were on it, like certainly Mr. Golden Sun, fabulous, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me. And I hear this, being sung around my school, and it just brings me back. It's funny, how things bring you back to different happy times and not so happy times when you're trying to get them to sleep or they were getting bored in the back of the car. Sorry, I'm just after losing my screen there. Can anyone bring me back there? Sorry, girls. Yeah. So then we have Yellow Submarine. Lots of us know that. Rainbow Connection, Rattling Bag, a good old folk song. And then we have my favourite things. The Lion Sleeps Tonight, really popular with the kids. And I see We Will Rock You in sixth class. Again, great one to have fun with the older kids. 250 karaoke songs. Now, I actually don't like the word karaoke because to me it has different connotations, but really well recorded with good soundtracks on them. I think the most important thing as well is that they are at the appropriate pitch for children. And I suppose I see that a lot. I work as multor in Corail and Escullen and that, and I find sometimes teachers will bring a group of kids to perform at it, and the kids will be absolutely fantastic, and they're up there on the stage. And if they don't have the resource of somebody to accompany them, they might bring a backing track. And often if it's a modern song or popular song, it is at the wrong pitch for children. And I think I say that when I used to do the road shows in person, to be really careful about that for the pitch for children. A lot of the pop songs are pitched too low for children. And it's like any muscle. Your vocal cords have to be stretched, and it's really important that you pitch the songs and what I mean by that for people, sorry, who aren't musical literate, that you don't start the song too low. And that's why a really benefit of using this scheme here, the Intermusic, they are absolutely pitched at the right, because we're talking about the authors are all practitioners, have worked with choirs or worked with kiddies in class and know what way to pitch them. And that's really important, that we're not pitching the song too high for them when they're too young or too low, which is a really important thing as well. The mixed, as I said, of the genre and style, just love that. And we have nursery rhymes in every unit for junior infants. And I think any of you who are junior infant teachers, honestly, I only taught junior infants once and never again. It was my first year out. Having said that, I think I should have gone back to it when I was more mature and maybe had my own kiddies. But I think certainly I hear the junior infants. We have 4 junior infants in our class, in our school, and I would hear the infant teacher saying that the children know fewer nursery rhymes now than they used to. And I think, if I was in a room here with you, I'm sure I'd see a lot of you nodding your heads, that the kids do not know coming into school the same nursery rhymes that would have known years ago, whether it was, you as a parent yourself or grandparents. And I think even in nursery or play schools and that, there seems to be more of an emphasis on going to more formal kind of lessons with them and that. And I think we've lost out on a lot. So I think this a nursery rhyme in every unit is a really important aspect of the Intermusic. Plenty of songs of Gaeilge as well as international songs, and we should never underestimate how they can pick up so much Gaeilge when they are a Cana os Gaeilge, and lots of things even like that happen inconsequentially to them, like things like Tishel Ginnajoch or Shabus that are put in because you're used to singing them in a little song, and it's the fun of them. We've got those gorgeous you know, Gniomh Éireann and that are available, and that kiddies absolutely love, and they are sponges, and it doesn't make a difference whether it's in Gaeilge or in Merla. And we also have, I know in the second class book, we've one little song that's in Japanese little song in it, believe it or not, and there's another one in the first class that is in another foreign language as well. I'm trying to think, Ecole, I think it is. So, and it's amazing to see how quickly the kids are picking those up. Music literacy, please don't switch off. This is really an important part of our music, and not, you know, not to be afraid of it. And what I think is, again, it is part of the performance strand, consists of rhythm and pitch. Kids love rhythm and they love pitch. So I think this music literacy can kind of frighten us a little bit. And I suppose the basic thing is, you know, you'll hear people talk about the rhythm of music or the beat. And basically the beat is your heartbeat. It stays steady through a piece, whereas the rhythm is the length of the notes. So what a note sound of any song would sound like. And then pitch just means whether it's high or low, or is it going higher or going lower. And again, if we look at the rhythm, and we're looking at a kind of progression and how it grows organically between the classes. And we're looking at the first one there, which is cat and kittens. And basically what you're doing this when you're teaching this lesson, the kids will tap the syllables in the word. So it'll be cat, kitten, cat, kitten. And then these great graphics are so easy. The kids will follow this in their pupil book, and they, you know, so if you look at the first one there, we have got our 4 cats, and then so that'll be cat, 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 cat. And graphically again, the next are smaller with the kittens. So then the second line there is cat, cat, kitten, cat, and that's showing the rhythm. The children will have great fun doing these, and this is one that they will say the words and then they tap the beats on the wood block. Not everybody has wooden block. You may not have musical instruments in your class. Never use that as an excuse not to participate in rhythm things. You use 2 fingers because clapping can be so loud if they're all at it. 2 fingers in the palm of the hand works just as well. Or you can use tapping their chests, or they can use clapping on their legs. So we don't have to have all these amazing resources. We can use our body percussion, our body as a percussion instrument, which is really important. And the next one we go on to, and we have, you know, the next in the themed one is on mini beasts. And so instead of the cat and kittens, we now go to ant and spiders. So again, similar to the one previously, we have like ant, 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 ant. And then in the second line is ant, spider, spider, ant. And I think it's so graphically, something like this is the graphic is so obvious, and the children will follow that with absolutely no problem. So that's our infants. And then we see kind of the progression or how it organically moves forward into, I'm not moving page. Don't know why my page seems to have blocked there. Roland's seem to have frozen there.
Maybe if you want to stop sharing on and maybe share again.
Oh, we're here. Sorry. Yep, great. Sorry for that. So the beauty of technology. So then just see how it grows organically between the classes. And we look then to looking at the rhythm, where we introduce a stick notation down at the bottom. So we start first with cat, cat, kitten, cat, and then this is at obviously Halloween, and then we've got witch, witch, witches, witch, and then we've kind of got a graphic of the knees, and then you can see where we go to stick notation, and so we've got brack, brack, balding, brack. So you can see how we're leading towards the actual rhythmic signs, but done very organically, moving from these graphics of the cats and kittens and then on to our stick notation. And then you can see in the next worksheet in first and second class where we have the words, and then they are able to see that the animal is ant, spider, spider, ant. And then underneath it, we have the rhythm drawn with our rhythm stick notation. And then they get a chance to make up their own rhythms at the bottom. And what that actually is doing, and I don't want to scare you, but that activity is composing. They're actually composing a rhythmic pattern. So if I said to you, oh my God, they've composed a rhythmic pattern, but you can see how it progresses really seamlessly from what they've seen above. And they're going to be very excited about mixing up. And all they're doing is mixing up these two patterns that they've learned, the ta and the titi. But we have to mention that we've been calling them cat and kittens, and yet they can still compose rhythmic patterns. And then we go on, you can see them where we're actually drawing the march rhythms, and we're actually drawing the crotchets and the quavers. And you can see that, so it's 1, 2, 1, 2. And the reason that is in the theme of that month is March, and it's actually marching. So marching into March, so it's coming from the left, right. So we start with 1, 2, 1, 2, then left, right, left, right, left and right, left and right, left. Now that funny Z sign is what we do for a silence, or what's called a rest. And rests in music are as important as the note itself. So when you're doing a song, to be really careful or whatever, rest is just as important as the music. So that's leading towards, we're just doing a very basic sign for a rest. So if you look at D there, it would be left, left. And then I would do, again, this whole kinesthetic approach, which is kind of fostered into music, is I would do, as well as seeing that sound, I would do a physical movement, in that I might get them to put their finger on their lips for the rest. So it feels much more kinesthetic, and they really get the sense of rest, but there's absolutely no sound on the rest, and that it gets its full time. And then we see down at the bottom, we get the chance compose to try to write some of our own march rhythms at the bottom there. So that is rhythm. So as I say, do not be afraid of it. We go into third and fourth, and you can see what we're doing here then, that we've got composing rhythms again. So they're tapping them out, and this time we're actually using the words, and we're saying ta and titi and the rest. So then your tas are your crotchets, and then your titis are your quavers, and they get very used to doing these. And again, create four beat rhythm patterns, create or compose. That's what we're doing. We're just using the word create, but that's what we're working towards. Really important. And then they get the chance to actually write down a little kind of composed words then to a rhythmic pattern down at the bottom in the third and fourth class. And then we look at fifth and sixth, and we're on to the quavers, again working again with the rests, and we see that we've introduced the actual rest sign, which is a tricky old yoke to draw, I have to tell you, even as adults, but it's basically a kind of a squeal. You won't have to do it exactly like that, but when you're introducing that to them, that they know that they make some kind of a squeal on it. So that's the rhythm thing. So as I say, not getting frightened by it being, here we go again, I think it's when I enlarge it. And the kids really respond to rhythm, you know. The next then is pitch. And pitch, as I said earlier, is going high or low. And again, this is kind of done very kinesthetically from infants. And if you look at the first one there, which is hello, it's a little song. Hello, and we're using the so me that interval, and you know, you can have the children to either, you know, stand up and sit down, or in the what we have here is that they put their hands on their head and then drop to their shoulders, so they're getting that sense that the music, the note is going down and not going up. So you put your hand there and then drop them to your shoulders for low. And then you have these, like we have in Gaeilge, the, you know, other either virtue, where we get this kind of question and answer thing. So we have one person goes, hello, and the other person will answer them, how are you? And the other person would say, very well, thank you. And we're just using the same interval over and over. You can do lots of different things that you can go around your class, or you can then, I mean, I would direct it first with my class, and what's your name? Whatever it is, what age are you? And then you get them to work in their either virtue again to do it between, you know, partner songs like A and B. So they make up, here we go again, our little composing at the end, or creating. They make up their own little conversations. And then we develop it a little bit further in first and second, where we're kind of looking at kind of part of the pentatonic scale, or the so long and so me and la. And hand signs, I just never underestimate the benefit of working with hand signs. I do it all the time when I worked with my class, but even when I'm working out in choirs in different schools, I will always reinforce something with hand signs. It's that whole kinesthetic approach that children feel it, and getting used to those hand signs, and they get very fluent and comfortable with them. So if we're looking at that, this is again Halloween, so it's trick or treat. And what you've done up at the top, we've shown them first the hand signs as so, mi, la. And then if we look then at so, la, so, mi, and we do a little bit of work, and then we've got this little song, very, very simple, using hand signs as a singing. So it's trick or treat, I want lots of treats to eat. And again, that is just the 3 notes, and you're getting them to hand sign it, and they do it a few times, and they can do it for each other and watch each other, and then they actually draw the music on a 2-line stave. So up to second class, we're talking about a 2-line stave. And you don't need to introduce the 5. And some children, even at second class, may be familiar with it because they may be going to classes, music classes outside. But we just need a 2-line stave. That's all you need. And using the hand signs as much as possible, I can keep reinforces intervals. Sorry, no, that's that. And we have then just another one over there. So me, and you can see in that we're using different colours for the so and me. And there's an approach that's used by it's a Finnish Scandinavian, which is similar to Kodai, and it's called colour strings. And they would use different colours even for the 2-line stave. But I think even looking at that, they can see it, it's very clear that it's moving, and even when they're looking at it on the 2-line stave, that they're also using the hand signs as well. We then look at it where we go into 3rd to 6th, and we've got that lovely song, Joshua brought the battle to Jericho in the D minor. And so then we've introduced La, and we've also introduced Re. And I would always have a sign up on my wall of the hand signs, and I'll be reinforcing them all the time and using with them. So the first little song there is Joshua fought the battle, and then they sing the song using the hand signs, and then they decide, you can see that where the bar 1 is the same as, and that's really important that they can. The bar is just where you see a line, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. So the lines, the vertical lines, are dividing the music into what's called bars, and some of them are the same. So they will see visually that some of them are the same, but you're also trying to get them to hear it. And when they're doing the hand signs, that'll make it more obvious that it's the same. We then introducing the hand sign Re, which you see down at the bottom, which is your hand, slightly at an angle, and then lots of opportunity to repeat little patterns. Mi, re, do, re, mi, re, do, so, mi, re, do. And you give them lots of opportunities, and then you can lead them and ask them to sing it, and then you will ask a child to come out and let the child lead the class. So it's all trying to get, like in any of the subjects that we're doing, not having the kids sedentary in their desk, getting them to part of leading, teaching their peers as well, and certainly able to get a child to come out and lead that. Don't feel that youth always has to be teacher-led. Any of the children are absolutely capable of doing that once you are building that familiarity with them in it. And then the Rocky Mountain, which I'm sure a lot of you know. Rocky Mountain, Rocky Mountain, Rocky Mountain high. Ooh, when you're on that rocky mountain, hang your head and cry. Do, 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 remember me. Do, 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 remember me. And what's really important is then that the music that's in these songs, you are able to hand sign them as well. So picking out a section like baby ray ray do, to remember me. You'll do it with hand signs, you'll pick it out and just do it with the singing it using hand signs with the words, then maybe just using the solfa. And again, solfa, 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 really important as well. I think really important that we do lots of that with them, with the children in school. So that's kind of pitch. Again, this is happening again. I think it's once I touch it. Sorry about this, bear with me. It's when I, sorry. No, it worked for me already. Okay, great. So then composing, and this is what I want to demystify, because I know this is where a lot of teachers, you know, kind of get really nervous about composing. Think of what kids like in English, you know, think through the classes, they like reading, but then you ask them to write stories. Most kids, I think majority of kids, like writing the creative, the narrative story. I know we go through the different genre in writing as well, but really creativity, and that is really what composing is. And what I would say to you is to really start from infants, and this is the beauty of this scheme. Start at infants and introduce composing as a really important part of your week. And you can see already that we had those little opportunities creating, which is what the composing was at the end of a little lesson, even just creating a pattern of rhythm. They make it up and they ask a child to come out and ask them to clap a rhythm using their tas and titis. And that pattern is composing. They've created a little rhythmic pattern. So what happens there in infants, we've got these different weathers. So this is under the theme of weather, and they've to create their own storm picture. And you can see they can arrange the pictures into what they want. They can, you know, change the arrangement, which picture of the storm or the scene they want first. And again, I would say to you, do not think you have to have this box of expensive percussion instruments that I know myself from experience, bits get lost, bits get broken. You can do these with a piece of paper. If you think of a piece of A4 paper, the ripping of it, the shaking of it, the scrunching of it all makes sounds. I did a wonderful rain lesson, rainstorm on the ground with tapping the floor. If you have 30 little kiddies, tapping the floor gently, tapping with their fingers first for little raindrops, and then what you do, how do you make that change that it's now the rain is coming loud, it's coming quicker and they're bigger raindrops, and then they might start slapping their hands on the floor of the classroom instead of little taps, and then there might be a crash of thunder. How would we do that? Again, just using our body percussion. We might decide to clap, or we might decide to clap our chests or something like that, all to get that sound. So do not think you have to have this expensive box. Often I see, visit lots of schools and we have those homemade percussion instruments as well, but always don't forget we have our body, which can be used in a percussive way, really important. So that's looking at that. And then if you look at first and second class, we have an actual story that they follow, and they follow the progression of the story. So if I'm looking at that with my class, I'm saying, okay, here's our Halloween story, and we listen to the story, but then I pick out the characters that I think we can do. So you have one instrument or something that you're going to do for the dog in there, and then you have the different characters, and that they would use the same instrument for the character as it goes through, like the witch, and there's the chase at the end. So I mean, they will know, you talk them through it first, and they will be so excited about this composing thing. So it's really careful not to let our anxiety transfer to the children, because they will be up for it, as you know. And then I suppose what's really important is that we are able to replicate something. So let's say our class, even if it's in infants and they've done this lovely storm sound picture, it's really important that they're able to represent this in what we would call a graphic score. And the reason why you want to be able to represent it is that you'd like to do it a second time, and that you'd like it to be the same that you did it the first time, that you remember what you did for the different parts. And they will come up with their symbols. And what I think, and we have it here in the book, but what I did when I was working with the classes doing this is I would use a big graphic score, like a big sheet of I'm very bad in the sizes, probably A5 is it, or, big pieces of paper. And they would all work on this together. And then that you would display this in the classroom, your graphic score of whatever little story you have done, but really important. And then that you can use one person can be the steward or the conductor, and that they will tell the rest of the people, the players in the orchestra or the band, when they move to the next sound or something like that. So then it's all this thing about giving ownership to the children, that it's peer led, rather than the teacher having to do everything. But obviously you agree these symbols beforehand, and what you want, what might we use to do a ping on a triangle. You can see that there's little dots or whatever. If it's something that's repeated, how, and you talk to them, how will you know that it isn't just one bang in the drum? How will you know that the drum keeps going, and then it's coming up with that symbol, and it's working together with them. And I've certainly seen that work really well in the senior classes with the right note, and similarly it's in the into music now, and they have this ownership on it, and really proud then to a group to get up and perform their piece. And I suppose it is all about this working in groups. I suppose another new curriculum coming in, but it is really a huge emphasis on this group work and working collaboratively, which composing really lends itself to in primary school. So then looking at that theme, I'm going to fly to the thematic approach, because I think you'll get from me that it is really goes from the infants right up. So we've got food and infants and the first and second, and that changes. We've got movie magic, and then Hollywood blusters, and we've got the weather, and then like mini beasts, animals, birds of the air, and then graduation came in there. So that is the thematic, and Halloween and Christmas are covered in all classes. I think an important one really for some of our schools that aren't faith schools, that the Christmas, we have included songs that aren't Christmas carols. So we aware of the diversity in our schools now. So there are songs that aren't necessarily Christmas carols, but they are Christmas songs, because I think there are very few people that don't actually like to hear some kind of Christmas music. So that's kind of creating catering for the diversity in our schools, which is important. And we've got different songs there. That's just looking at the weather. You look at the songs there that we have there. Obviously, I'm Ceannaigh Gaeilge as well. And then we go to the listening and responding. You'll see it's all linked in with the Jaffer Summons Storm. And then exploring of sounds, and then composing, we have the storm pictures. So they're all the strands, they're all on this, as we say, thematic approach. And then, so one of our songs, I sang it a little bit for you earlier, but we have a little blast to give you a little break from listening to me all the time, Mr. Golden Sun.
Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me. Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, hiding behind a tree.
So, really importantly, it's at the correct pitch for children. The words are there visually, and an attractive accompaniment that's suitable for children to sing. I don't know why I've got a second there. That one, sorry. Sorry, clicking me, pausing me ever so often. I'm just going to get to the next. Okay, and that's on again. So then this is like our kind of flashcards, as we used to call them years ago, and this is a timbre. And I suppose, being honest with you, I really learned the difference between a timbre and a tambourine very late in life. For those of you who I'm sure all of you know, but I didn't, the tambour doesn't have the jingly bits at the edge, so it's quite like a tambourine. You can play it the same, but it doesn't have the jingly bits on it. And then there are these are your, bought percussion instruments. Don't underestimate what you can do with homemade ones. So that's our timbre, the tambourine, the wood block. Can certainly make homemade wood blocks with using things like wooden spoons and that, and triangle. I think it's funny, I remember it from school, the triangle. It's just such a lovely little instrument, very underestimated, I think, but I do love it.
A timbre, or drum, is an instrument that makes a sharp sound when it is hit. A wood block is a small instrument made from wood. It makes a sound when it is hit.
So then this is kind of just an overview of our digital resources there, the yearly scheme, the Intermusic that's just showing you the third and fourth class book, and our monthly plan and our lyrics, and these are all available. Planning very quickly, see it at a glance, our yearly plan. Why would we all be reinventing the wheel? These are here done for you. Tick. Use it as a menu. You mightn't like to do all the songs, but there are so many there, you still get to cover lots of songs every year. Each of the strands there very clear for you. Yearly plan, very easy. And then our monthly plan there, really visual. You can see very easy what you've done, what you have to do. You're covering all the musical concepts, your pulse, your pitch, the structure, and you're looking at the strands. You can see very easy that you've got performing, you've got your performing, and you've got the song singing, listening, responding, exploring sounds, all there very easy to see and clear. I'm going to fly through these. There is just your steps for your teaching notes. You can see how easy and clear they are to follow. And I think there's our pupil books, just looking at our resources, right up to 5th and 6th class. I think some schools may have held off waiting to see the 5th and 6th class. Absolutely on a par with, I think the whole thematic progression from junior infants to 5th and 6th is what makes it so attractive. Our online lesson plans, teachers can order paid for print versions, and I think that's all our digital activities. You can see all those. I think we've chatted. And all I can say now is thank you so much. It was a little bit of a whistle stop fly through that. Apologies and thank you for bearing with me with my technical issues. I'm much more comfortable in a room with everybody when I can and talk to you. But I hope you you can see the benefits of this. You know, I am so proud to be attached to this wonderful scheme. I think it's a fantastic resource in our schools, and I hope you enjoy working with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anne. Just a fantastic run through of everything that's involved with Intermusic. I just wish I was back in school now, because if music had been that good when I was in school, it would have been great fun. No, really, really fantastic. And what I love about it, and this is what teachers have come back to me and said who have started using the programme last year, what I absolutely love is just how scaffolded it is for the kids, how it spirals very, very carefully and very slowly for the kids as they go through. And for teachers who aren't particularly musically literate, the support that's there for them is absolutely fantastic. And we have that feedback very, very much from teachers as well. So thank you so much, Anne. I'm just going to give you a very quick update on a couple of things. But before I do that, if anybody has any questions, just to sort of say how to ask the questions, there's a little chat function at the very top of your screen, in the middle at the top band, the top ribbon there. So if you do have questions, do stick them in there, and we'll try and answer them in a moment when I finish my little update. So yeah, just so if you want to have a look at the pupil, take a closer look yourself at the pupil books themselves. They're actually all online on folens.ie, together with some really good samples for all classes of the songs, the planning materials and the digital activities. So as I say, just go to phones.ie. It's fairly obvious from the front screen on phones.ie where to find them. Everything new, basically, but just click on the new section. This will bring you straight through to the right area, and you'll find Into Music there. So my suggestion is that you use some of those samples that are there for your own for a class. You know, this year, you know, just give it a lash with your class, and you'll just see how much the kids will really enjoy it. And on to the next thing. Yes. So you're probably wondering how this is packaged and how it all works. Now, we know from talking to teachers that some schools prefer an actual book and others are looking for a digital package. And we kind of know that there's a real sort of, you know, 50-50 on that. Different schools very much prefer a different thing. So we're offering the choice between the two. So with the print package, there is a combined pupil book that is used across 2 classes, as Anne was saying earlier. So infants, so junior and senior infants is one book, and then first and second class is another book, and then third and fourth is another one, and then fifth and sixth and so on. And if you book list the Into Music for your class, then all of the online lesson plans, the songs, the karaoke style songs, Anne's favourite word, the listening track, and the digital will be available for you to use on phones online, and the digital comes complimentary when you book list the book. Okay. Now, if you want just a digital package and you don't want the book, that's absolutely perfect. You just need to buy a classroom license for that. And included with that is access to all of those digital items, you know, the planning, the songs, etc., on phones online, as well as printable PDFs of the pupil book pages. So if you prefer to get a classroom digital license, you can actually print off the book pages if you want to do it that way, if you prefer it. So it's really whatever suits you best. So we have an offering either way. If there are special introductory offers available, so the best thing to do is to have a chat with your own rep, and you'll find them on our web pages. To find the package that best suits your own needs in your, you know, in your classroom, in your school, whatever works best for you. So just a quick chat now about the free school book scheme that's coming up now. So, you know, it's a big year of change for how things are going to be done in primary schools in terms of books this year, and we're really, really aware of that. We've been working and researching with the pilot schools to be able to support, you know, all of the schools now in terms of giving you the best possible solutions, a really simple solution for you, and also to give you the best value for the content that you need. So we've been working quite closely with a number of schools to try and just see what's the best options that we can provide for you, and we will shortly be announcing how we can do that with you. Your local phones rep is available for calls, consultations, and very much at a time that suits you. So whether that's during the school day, at lunchtime, after school, Croke Park hours, whatever works best for your school, my team are there to support you. They're absolutely superb in terms of the information they can give you, but also more importantly, how, you know, the content that we have very much meets your classroom needs, not just the music, but across the board for all of your programs. And given the year that's in it with the school book scheme, you know, you could be asking questions about any subject, but the guys will be able to help you with that. And the most important thing is that they'll work with you to find the best solution for that free school book scheme and, you know, your requirements in your school, because it's just, you know, you're going to be feeling your way through this, and they're there to help you do that. Okay, so that's really important. We will have special offers and bundles for schools right across our full portfolio, including our literacy resources as well. So just be rest assured that we're there to help you with all that. Okay. We also have, just to let you know, we've got a couple more webinars coming up in our primary series of webinars. We have 2 maths webinars coming up, and I suppose it's to try and support you again in terms of preparing for the new curriculum. We have on Tuesday the 28th of March, we have the mathematical modelling with Patrick Neary. And then on Tuesday, the 25th of April, we have problem solving in junior classrooms with Elaine Dillon. So I really recommend registering for those on phones.ie, just like we did for this one. And yeah, do come along to those. Okay. So I am going to move on now to, do we have any questions and questions and answers? Let's have a look. Oh, we have a few, I think, here. Yeah, fantastic. So we have a question here from a teacher who teaches 4 classes from 3rd to 6th. And I mean, that's a huge number of schools that are in that situation. So I'm gonna ask either Karen or Anne this one actually, but so this teacher is sort of saying they teach 4 classes from 3rd to 6th. Which class would you recommend that they use for into music? Who'd like to answer that question?
Well, what I would say from from the song perspective, and even from the I suppose the literacy perspective, probably you could go with something like 4th class, because I think a lot of what you do in 5th and 6th class is consolidation, from a literacy perspective, and a little bit of extension, but nothing hugely significant of what you're doing in 3rd and 4th. So I would say 4th class is something that you could easily use for 5th and 6th. And I would say as well, I know there's another question about junior infants to 2nd. There's less of a difference, I would say, in terms of the songs between 3rd to 6th class, because children's ability to sing, in junior infants is I think there's a bigger difference between what they can sing as a 5-year-old and what they can sing as an 8-year-old, versus I think 8 to 12-year-olds can probably manage, most of the same songs. So I think something like 4th class would probably be fine. You could potentially also go with 5th and maybe teach down. And then I would say in terms of the junior end, I don't know what you think, Anne, would children be in senior infants, would that work for 1st and 2nd class, or could you go 1st class for?
I kind of, it's a difficult ask, because I think for different things, the songs are probably not, certainly, I think, the songs in 2nd class, the junior infants won't want to sing, but they will certainly, the junior infants will want to sing the 2nd class songs. I don't think there's an issue there. I suppose what I would work with, if I look at Helen's question first about 3rd to 6th, I think like anything, Helen, you've got to look at where your children are at, or where the majority of them are at first. But I think what you'll find is you'll be able to move quicker through. I'm thinking of more the literacy. I'm not as focused on the songs, because I think 3rd to 6th, they love all the songs, and they're so varied that you'll be able to pick and mix a little bit with that. But I think looking at the literacy, you've got to go somewhere a little bit further, but you want to bring them on. So you've got to see where they're at first, but I think you would progress through the literacy quicker than you might if you had the 3rd class. There's a lot of consolidation done. So I would be inclined to agree with Karen and look at the 4th class. The songs, I think you can tip in and out of it. That's the beauty, I suppose, of the digital, that kind of thing that you can always, I think they're so varied that I think there are kiddies in 3rd class will want to sing the songs in 6th class that they're doing. And the kids in junior infants won't be able to sing the songs of 4th class, but they still want to. But you won't have kiddies in 3rd or 4th that would want to sing, or 2nd that want to sing the junior infant ones. So it will be, it's a pick and mix, and I suppose that's the beauty of the programme, that you can do that with it.
Fantastic. So actually, yeah, they could pick and mix the right bits. That would probably be a really good way of doing it. So from junior to 2nd, there's probably quite a bit of progression as well. So picking the bits that are going to work for your classroom, for your kids that you've got in front of you, is probably the best thing, isn't it? There's another question here about Gael Scolina. Karen, will I hand that over to you?
Yes, I mean, there's nothing to stop Gael Scolina using the existing programme, because we do have, like, our, as I mentioned, plenty of our own in there. I would say that we don't have an Irish translation for Mr. Golden Sun. So, all of those songs, they're songs from all over the world, and, mainly pulled from the English speaking parts of the songs. It's just not feasible to replicate that in Irish. It would require the creation theory of a bespoke Irish programme. So, I mean, you could still use the Irish songs, and then you can still use the listening tracks, because, a lot of those listening tracks are, they're classical pieces, or they could be, pop or jazz piece of, it varies from class to class, and you could still also use the literacy pieces. I mean, the instructions are in English, but I mean, the majority of what you see in the pages is illustrations and symbols. So I think that could still easily be used in Gael's.
Fantastic. And there's another question just come in there. I'm just going to find it there. Oh yeah, is there an option for schools to buy the digital resources without buying the children's workbooks? So yeah, absolutely. So think that's Andrea there. You might have just missed that little bit. So basically, yeah, there's two options. We know that schools very, very much, some schools are really into having a book, some schools just want to use the digital. And yes, absolutely. So there's a digital only package for which you just need to buy a license to do that. And that's the classroom license. And very much we knew that was a need within schools. And last year when we launched the junior to second class, plenty of schools went for that option, and it seems to be working really well for them. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's all the questions. If anyone else has any questions, quickly type them into the chat box there. I don't think there's any more at the moment. No, I don't think so. Okay. So just very much to say a huge thank you to Anne. A really, really clear presentation this evening. I really enjoyed it, and the enthusiasm and the love for what you've put together really, really came across. So thank you so much for that, and really looking forward to hearing everyone's feedback once they get into using Into Music. So that's a goodbye from us this evening. So thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. So goodbye.
Thanks, Anne.
Bye, Slán.